Strange sounds and suspicious movements, ghosts moving everywhere, and screams that pierce the silence of the night, casting terror in the hearts of everyone. Tales about ghosts and goblins that we have heard over a quarter of a century of houses in Egypt where murders had occurred and blood had stained the walls that stood witness to what happened there.
25 years ago from now, inside property number 26 in Egypt called the Immobilia building, a murder occurred on the 5th floor of the property when the police received a report that the bodies of a broker and a woman were found murdered inside apartment number 58. It turned out that traces of strangulation were found around their necks inside the bedroom. The police revealed that the broker was responsible for renting 3 apartments in the property, the owners of which lived in another city, and the second victim was working as a maid for the residents of the building. The girl who discovered the 2 bodies said that she had come to clean one of the empty apartments, but she was surprised by the door of the apartment open and entered to find them dead. The police confirmed that the perpetrator was renting the apartment, and a dispute arose between him and the broker, so they quarreled, and the matter ended with the broker being killed. And when the maid started screaming, he strangled her until she died and quickly left the apartment. Since that crime occurred, the guards and residents of the Immobilia building have been repeating accounts of witnessing strange illusions and suspicious sounds at night, especially those coming from the apartment where the crime occurred. There is one of the witnesses who had a personal experience in the building in which he lived for several years after he bought an apartment there, where he suffers from seeing ghosts and mysterious entities. In his apartment, they begin to appear from after sunset until before sunrise, as he said that when there was a lot of movement at night in the apartment, he started talking to them so that they calmed down, and when he finished speaking, their movement around him disappeared. He says that one day he took the elevator to go down and buy cigarettes, so he took the elevator going up and down to the 4th and 5th floors more than 6 times, and when he spoke to them saying, "With your permission, I want to go down and buy cigarettes," the elevator moved until it reached the bottom of the house. The massacre occurred in another building, number 23, which witnessed the killing of 3 people, including a famous singer, at the hands of her businessman husband, who killed her out of love and jealousy. As for the other 2 dead, they fell victim to coincidence. The police said that the husband asked the 2 maids to enter a room and close the door on them. The dispute between the spouses escalated, and the quarrel became louder. The businessman asked his wife to leave the field of art and take care of her family matters, while his business manager and his wife tried to calm things down between them, but the husband did not refuse and entered his room. Then he went out with firearms in his hand and shouted hysterically at his wife, and shot everyone, then shot himself, committing suicide. Since that incident, ghost stories have haunted her apartment. There are those who say that they heard the voice of ghosts singing in the apartment, repeating her husband's will, which he left to his brother. Ghost stories varied about the artist's apartment, whose floor was soaked with the blood of 4 people, including the presence of oppressed souls inhabiting the apartment as a result of the blood that was shed. Inside her, she is the one who screams at night. One of the residents noticed that there were strange things happening in Cannes. The first of which was that the elevator suddenly stopped in front of the apartment at dawn. That is, at the same time as the crime was committed on its own, in addition to the sounds of the doorbell ringing loudly more than once for no apparent reason, especially since this floor has not been approached since the crime occurred. Anyone is afraid of him, as the windows open and close on their own from the inside without any apparent reasons. The house guard said that they usually heard the sounds of verbal arguments and reproaches before they turned into screams and calls for help, similar to the screams of cats and pieces of stones flying from the apartment, and the apartment became, in the view of many, haunted by ghosts and goblins.